Hi everyone, welcome to another Regardis webinar. My name is Stano Gajdoš and I'm joined here by our two special Yanas, Yana Eliášová. Hi Yana. And Yana Trubitsyna on the other end of the camera. Hi Yana.
Hi Stano. Hi Yana and hello everyone.
We are very pleased to see you all here. We are very much looking forward to the discussion, and we have brought two friends to help us since this topic is rather broad. I hope this isn't taken as a ridicule, but some future is not clear. And to make it maybe clearer or make it a little bit more whimsical, we have brought can you see it? We have brought a crystal ball. We haven't got a name for it, but you can propose one in chat if you'd like. And we have also brought a disco snail, which you can see behind Yana.
Hello everyone.
This snail was the face of a recent conference in the Czech Republic, which Yana and Yana produced together. Went by name Cody, but we are drifting off topic now. So let's dive into EU REACH. That's why we are here. So as always, we have some introduction. This is the introduction. I am introducing ourselves. And then, since we received far more questions than we were expecting, and then we would be able to fit into one session, we selected a few topics and we basically split them in such a way where we can talk about them in bundles. And today I stuck together, I think, like 40 questions into 4 topics. So Yana and Yana will cover those in a few short talks, and then we'll get to the Q&A and the discussion. This is a bit drifting away from the original format where we wanted to be like a question answer, but we had so many repeating questions about very basic, well, not very basic, but very similar REACH related, let's say base level regulatory questions that we wanted to maybe better transform them into the bundles, which I mentioned. As always, the most common question is the webinar being recorded? And yes, it is. And the recording will be available to you on our YouTube. If you are registered for the webinar, which you are since you are here, you will receive a notification via email together with the presentations. So this is it from me. I will now be handing the word to Yana and Yana. So it is your time to shine. Oh, there's an empty slide. So Yana, can you control it?
Yes, sure.
Okay, girls, good luck.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. I completely forgot. Please, for the Q&A session at the end, we have selected a few topics out of the whole EU REACH region. And if your questions fit into these, I believe they are on the next slide. I don't want to take over from Yana at the moment, but yes, if your questions fit into these, or if it doesn't, please include them in the Q&A interface in Zoom, and we will pick from those who fit for this session, and we will deal with them or discuss them at the end of the session, at least to honor the initial idea of this being strictly Q&A. Okay, so with this, I'm done with the introduction. My apologies. Yana, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your words, Stano, and welcome to our webinar. Today we are focused on REACH. It's a very huge topic, so we selected a few sections for our answers, and I have a topic there which we will which are on our table today. It will be something about registration, joint submission, etc. Lead registrants, or only representative, difference, etc. It's Jana's topic, and then we will focus on future of REACH and as well as current situation. The next topic is focused on restrictions or bans, and very important and very popular topic is also enforcement. And also we will check, so we will inform you how to find practical guidance, sources for REACH, etc., etc. And then will be section for your questions.
It's not
working. So yes. So now it's yours, Stana.
Is it? Okay, let's go. So first of all, REACH registrations, and okay. So for only representative REACH registrations are multiple registrations required for different manufacturing locations in various non-EU countries. Other example might be that key practical steps for preparing and submitting REACH registrations, or obligations and process if the lead registrant role is transferred from the existing lead registrant to a member of the joint submission. So these are the main repeating questions we have seen in this cluster, and now it is on Yana. Oh, Yana.
Thank you.
Yana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can be
Camera is
confusing a
blurred,
bit.
so it's confusing. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I apologize in advance. I've got some viruses, so I'm sorry for my voice. But I hope I will keep it till the end of the webinar. So here for this section, we had these 3 questions that were the most popular, I would say. So it's these slides, the following slides are more like answers to these questions. So let's look closer. And I'm trying to change the slide. Yes, here it is. So first question is, if I have the only representative, I am non-EU entity, are multiple registrations required for different manufacturer locations in various non-EU countries? So the answer can be yes and no. Let's check 2 situations when it is required and when it's not. So basically the rule is one substance, one registration. So it means that one entity should own one registration. But if you're a company outside of the EU that own, let's say, 3 manufacturing plants in different locations, then one registration can cover the production of all 3 plants. What is important here is that the tonnage that you register it is basically shared between all 3 plants. So it means that you need really carefully calculate the tonnage that you import to the EU within one only representative, and it shouldn't exceed the registered tonnage. And also this should be covered in the registration dossier. So there is a section which is sites, and you need to indicate all the manufacturing sites that you own. However, if you're a company outside the EU and you own 2 subsidiary companies, like it's different legal entities which produce the same substance, then each subsidiary should have the separate legal entity, and must appoint their own only representative, which means it can be the same company in the EU, the same only representative, but you will have 2 different REACH IT accounts, and you will have to register you will have to make 2 different registrations. So if you will have more questions on the only representative concept or on this coverage of the tonnages from different locations, different manufacturing sites, please feel free to put your question in the Q&A, and we will see if we have time. We can look closer on it, or maybe in the next webinars we can also address it. So our next question that was repeated very often is the key steps for the REACH registration. We will look at the joint submission because it's a bit easier. However, if you are registering as the lead registrant, you have similar steps, but let's say they're much more complicated. So first here on the slide, you can see the link to the guidance page where you can find all the guidances for the registration, for the compiling the registration, dossier, and so on. But what you need to start with is the information gathering. So you need to check what data do you have, if there are any testing, if there are any information from your suppliers, for example. Was this substance already registered by someone else? Because this will help you to determine whether you are able to register in the joint submission, or you will have to become a lead registrant and register as the first company. And of course, you need to check what tonnage band do you need. So let's say here we are in the joint submission, so someone else have registered the substance. So what you need to do, you need to identify and quantify a substance. You need to check first what information requirements for your tonnage band, what information you are missing. And of course, we have in the guidance, we have the information that you need to test your substance first to identify it, and then to submit the inquiry dossier to the through the REACH IT. However, very often the testing is some financial load, and sometimes for companies, the decision whether to register or not, or maybe to look for another substance or to buy it from someone who has already registered it, is the price of the registration. And if we know that the registration fees, the administration fee that we paying for to ECHA is determined, we never know in advance how much we'll pay for the letter of access, which is basically access to all the testings and all the data that lead registrant have performed. So in the guidance, you can find the information that you need to submit inquiry, and from this inquiry, you are able to find the lead registrant. However, we all know that Google exists, so you can try to find by different ways. You can try to find the lead registrant or the consortium first, and ask them about the pricing, ask them about what is planned to be done with the substance. Maybe there are some more fees are upcoming because there will be some more testing. And also, of course, you can ask for SIP, which is substance identification profile, and maybe the lead registrant can also advise you for the testing. I can hear there is echo. Stano, you are on it?
Yes, I see it. We've received two separate issues about audio, but I hear Yana clearly and I hear myself clearly. So can anyone confirm that the audio is all right, or if that is like a widespread issue, we should maybe reset. I'm starting my own control PC here to make sure that this is working. But if the issue persists, I will try to fix it on our end. Okay, sound is okay. So I will reach out to those folk who have the issue on my own. Sorry for the interruption. Thank you for raising the issue, Yana.
Thank you, and thank you, dear audience, for checking with us, for letting us know that it's okay. So hope for those who have an issue, it will be fixed soon. Yeah, so we were in the inquiry stage where, let's say, you already know how much you will pay for your registration and letter of access. So you can test your substance, you can prepare the inquiry, and then to purchase the letter of access and prepare the dossier in the IUCLID and submit it. Of course, this sounds really simple when I have it in one sentence, dossier preparation, just prepare and submit it. But it's quite a lot of work. It depends very much on the substance that you have. It depends very much on whether you have the nanoform or if it's UVCB substance. So this is very, let's say, a broad topic. Let us know if you're interested, and maybe we can make a separate webinar, because I don't want to take much of the time since we are on the section 1 still. And the next question, which surprisingly appeared several times, is what happens when there is a lead registrant transfer when the existing lead registrant role is transferred to some member of joint submission. So what happens? Basically, what happens is first the joint submission members should agree on a successor, should agree on the company who will overtake the role of the lead registrant, and then the data are transferred. So it means that all the legal and technical transfer should be made from the lead technical dossier. And also you need to take care about all the study reports and rights. So each entity has the access to it still. And then the dossier is updated. The new lead registrant submits the updated dossier to identify themselves as a lead registrant and basically to inform ECHA. And the former lead registrant also need to update their dossier because they're not lead registrant anymore. They're now member of joint submission, or maybe they ceased the manufacturer, and in this case, their tonnage is set to 0. And then all the other registrants need to update their dossiers to acknowledge the new lead registrant. And according to Article 22, it is without undue delay. So basically, at the moment when you don't have anything that stops you, prevents you from it, like some data missing or something, you need to update your dossier. And both the former and the new lead registrant has to keep available all relevant information and records for at least 10 years. And of course, this is again very simple description how it works, but of course it's a lot of technical and legal work behind it. And now I will give word to Stano to introduce the next section.
Thank you kindly. So some of these have been a bit of head scratchers in terms of counts of questions. Not this one though. The future of reach. Oh, am I controlling it? Hello, what's going on? Okay, now. I think it clashes if we all try to change the slides, so please just let me. And so the most repeating thing, or the most common thing, is what's happening with Reach. And this is probably no surprise. Reach revision has been a huge, like, looming giant on the horizon for multiple years. Even for me, who is relatively new in the field, I always felt its presence, and it has been shelved, hasn't it? Or has it? So Yana, what's the future of Reach?
Thank you, Stano, and thank you for your questions. There was focused on future and current situation. Key message for future of Reach is the broad Reach revision is no longer expected, especially in this term. European Parliament term will be not expected. It's from the speech of Jessica Roswell, Environment Commissioner, and you can find it on the link which is in the presentation, which we will send you. But Reach is not frozen forever. There are some necessary partial changes, but they are not. We are not very sure when these changes will be, if these changes will be. So we have some expectations or assumptions or rumors, and we can use our wisdom ball. So maybe I will talk about our expectations, the most frequent problem is dossier quality and mandatory updates. It's talking about possibility limited, time-limited registration validity, for example, for 10 years, because a lot of registrations are not updated from day when was submitted. And it's maybe now it's everything it's new and necessary to update data which are in dossier. So maybe it will be in future obligatory or mandatory to update. Also, ECHA needs more powers for non-compliant dossiers, for example, change something or this registration not valid, etc., etc. So this is a plan change in future. Another planning changes are regarding annexes, especially data for registration. Changes in Annex I, possibly changes will be in Annex I. In Annexes 7, 6, and 10, which are requirements for data. Changes in Annex 11 also propose deletion of Annex 3 and 8. So there are a lot of possibilities and for modernization of data and texting requirements, etc., etc. So application of read across, weight of evidence, tests, non-animal testing, will be focused, etc., etc. Another possibly changes is digital SDS and focus on digital data, digital supply chain, communication, etc., etc. Stronger and more harmonized enforcement. I will talk about enforcement in the next section, but for ECHA or for the system, it's very important to have effective enforcement and maybe more harmonized through Europe. Also, possible future work on mixture assessment factor and generic risk management. Yep. Or changing in restrictions. Some restrictions are applied, for example, for PFAS, microplastics, siloxanes. Yana will talk about very soon, and future will be maybe more restrict or changing in restrictions. Also, parallel changes under CLP and Chemical Omnibus number 6 will be connected with REACH, for example, endocrine disruptors testing and classification, and will be very, very close to REACH. And this is a future expectations and what is new now. As every year, it's a new additional changing in restriction in Annex 17. The last changes was in PFAS in firefighting foams, dinitropyridine in articles, ethylpyridine in products, etc., etc. Also, very important restriction is microplastic. The first practical microplastic reporting deadline was this year in May, I suppose, 2026. So if you have microplastics in your products, you have to report it, and it will be probably it's a little bit spoiler for another section, and will be probably checked by authorities. Also new is candidate list. As usual, every half year it's added some substance on candidate list. The last one was or the last two was N-hexane and bisphenol AF. And please, if you are working with chemical substances, check candidate list I recommend you check it in one per month, because it could be add some substance, and you have to make some action if your substance is on candidate list. It's not a ban, nothing very difficult, but it's necessary to be very careful and monitor the status of the substance. And also very important and very expensive thing is that the reach fees increased most of 20%, to 19.5%. It's good news. It's for standard enterprises. For SME, small medium enterprises, it is the same level like before. But it's a advantage for SME to pay less than standard enterprises. So there are some new rules for SME verification, and it must be before the paid action, and it must be minimum 2 months before the paid action. And the verification documents will be valid just for 3 years. And this obligation will start on 5th of February. So if you want to register, try it to do before this date, or prepare your documentation if you want to apply, or if you want to verify your SME. Prepare your documents like first step, and then another step for the registration. And now it's for Stano.
Okay, I'll again act as the transition person between Yana and Yana, just so we have it a bit more colorful, I guess. So now let's talk annexes: Annex 14, Annex 17, and reach restrictions. So initially, what are the differences between the two annexes, and how does it apply to microplastics and siloxanes, and how you should check the substances? Yana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stano. All right, trying to change the slide. All right, so let's start maybe from the difference between the Annex 17 and Annex 14, just to be sure that we are on the same page, to be sure that we understand the difference. So Annex 14 is the authorization list. So it means that there are substances that are subject for authorization. And the mechanism here is that once the substance is listed on this annex, it is subject to a general prohibition. So basically, if you're a manufacturer, importer, if you're a downstream user, you cannot just place it on the market and just use the substance after a specific sunset date, unless you have granted the specific authorization for the specific use. And the purpose or the legal logic here is that the aim is to ensure that all the risks from SVHC substances are properly controlled, and that the substances are replaced by suitable alternatives, by safer, maybe other alternatives. And of course, there are exemptions like specific uses, such as, for example, scientific research or development. But also you need to prove it, and it's not that you only use it. You need to make sure that you are granted this exemption. And the restriction list means that you still can use this substance probably, but it's restriction on manufacture, placing on the market, or certain use of the dangerous substances or mixture articles. So it means that there is some condition or some prohibition for the use, for example, some specific limit, concentration limit, or for some specific use. And the purpose here, of course, is that you still can use the substance, but the that basically the risks must be controlled. It can also be that you need to, for example, you can use the substance, but you need to be trained how to use the substance, safely. All the substances, well, we are talking about for Annex 14. These are substances of very high concern, or SVHC substances, so they're defined in Article 57, REACH, and meet criteria for carcinogenic, mutagenic, toxic for reproduction, or PBT, or VB, so very persistent and accumulative, and recently also endocrine disruptors. Well, basically, it's been some time already that endocrine disruptors were introduced as VHCs, but we still say that it's new. And so these substances, SVHC substances, once they're on the candidate list, several things can happen. First, this substance can go to Annex 17, which is restrictions. So it means that you have some obligations for this candidate list substance, and also you now have some restrictions. So you need to look after some limits or some conditions of use. Also, it can go to authorization list, and then you can use the substance only if you are granted this right to use it. And of course, now it will be more restrictions than authorizations, or there can be no other regulation. It's just on the candidate list, and we are just waiting till it will be moved to some of the lists. I hope that I explained it, so it's understandable, and we can just see at siloxanes, because that was a question, and some siloxanes are the matter of restriction under Annex 17, so we can look at it at example. When we say siloxanes, it can be the most often is that it's cyclic siloxanes that we're talking about, which is entry 70 of Annex 17. So it's these 4 cyclic siloxanes, and then also there is an entry 73, which are fluorinated silanotriols. But since the question was about siloxanes and silicon materials, I guess that was mostly about the cyclic siloxanes, so it's entry 70. So we have entry 70 in the Annex 17. I will shortly show you how big is it. So basically, there is a general market restriction started from June 6, 2026, so it's already started. If you have the mixture where it's more than 0.1% weight by weight, then you cannot place this mixture on the market. However, don't be scared. First you need to do is you need to really study the whole text of the entry and check whether you have any exemptions. Because, for example, here there is an industrial exemption for manufacturing the silicon materials. It doesn't mean that you don't need to care about limits. There are some limits, but they are less strict and they're different for different uses. So you need to define what is your use, and then check the conditions and check the limit. For example, it can be monomer in the production of silicon polymers, and can be intermediate for other silicon substances, or a monomer in polymerization process, or some ingredient of the formulation or the production of mixtures or articles. And I will just mention the fluorinated silanotriols. Here you have completely different conditions that it's no selling for general public in spray, like proofing and impregnation. And if you sell it to professionals, you need to also label. So one of the regulation restriction can be the mandatory labeling. But coming back to siloxanes, I will also show you, this is a print screen. It's not really readable because it's a lot of text, so I had to make it very small. It's just illustration for you. How big is it? It has several points. It's about different uses and different conditions. So you really always need to check the whole text to define your obligations and to see whether you have any exemption. So if my product falls under the restrictions, what should I do? Okay, there is probably some problem with animation that I did because of the high temperature. I apologize. First you need to identify the exemptions and you need to verify the compliance with the conditions of Annex 17. So the substance shall not be manufactured, placed on the market or used unless it complies with some specific conditions like specific limits or uses or some mandatory labeling or maybe even training of your personnel. And then also what you have to do when your product or your substance or mixture falls under the restriction, you need to communicate it in the supply chain. So you need to update the information and communicate it down the supply chain, but also up the supply chain. It can include SDS update, also the communication for the substances that do not require the SDS. Oh, sorry. And also you need to take risk management measures and start looking for substitution, because even though you still can use the substance, it can happen that it will be restricted more or it will be banned. And of course, what you need to do is to keep your documentation and records even 10 years after the substance or mixture was last manufactured, imported, or supplied or used. And you must be able to submit this information to ECHA or the competent authority upon the request. And now we will also look at the synthetic polymer microparticles, SPM, which is entry 78 of Annex 17. So again, this is quite big piece of text where you need to check not only the first point, but also all the others, because there could be hidden obligations for you. Yeah, so you always need to check the whole text and define what are your obligations and how you can use the can you use the substance. So here the question was about injection molding facilities, which is quite specific, but basically any industrial site that using polymers in the form of pellets or flakes or powders is concerned by this restriction. There is exemption from the ban of 0.01%. So we are talking here about also some mixtures or some raw materials. But if we are talking about the site that is using polymer in the form of pellets, flakes, or powders, what you need to do, it's already from 2025. So suppliers must provide the instructions for use and disposal and information on quantity and concentration of SPM, the identity of polymers. And there is a mandatory labeling. You can see it on the slide. And now from by 31st of May 2026, which is already passed, and every next year you must report to ECHA. Basically, you do some small dossier file in the IUCLID, and you provide ECHA information on how you use the polymers, what is their identity, and what is the estimate release, including the releases during transportation. So basically, you need to provide information on synthetic polymer microparticles, how you use it, how much are your emissions, and so on. And if you want to use the derogations, there are several of them, of course, but it's really long process and it requires testing. So it's also good to always communicate it in the supply chain and ask your suppliers if they already have this information. And now I'm giving the word to Stano.
Hi again. So this was Yana with synthetic particles and annexes and microplastics. Let's introduce the next topic, and this will be the, let's say, last cluster. Oh, second to last if we count the guidances. So enforcement. What is the difference between enforcement in different EU member states? Crystal clear ball. Can you recommend an action which companies should take today to prepare for future REACH enforcement, and what should it be? And what enforcement activities are planned for next year? This one is a hot one. And how do we stand, or Czech Republic stand, in terms of REACH enforcement? And further enforcement-related questions. Now, I have to preface this that we aren't enforcement. We aren't related to enforcement, and whatever we discuss here can either be from our experience or from communicating with enforcement ourselves, which is also our experience. Well, basically everything we share is our experience. But you get the gist. We are not enforcement, full stop. Yana, go for it.
Thank you. Yeah, we have experience with enforcement, but on the side of our customer to help them with this activity. And my strongest recommendation, and for your safeness, be compliant, because compliance is not prevent an inspection, but if can reduce the risks of penalties or enforcement measures. So if you will be compliant, you are safe. And the second recommendation, to be very kind to the inspectors, because they are not legislative makers.
Not too kind.
Yeah, I think they are. My experience, they are.
In the legal boundary. Don't be too kind to them.
Yeah, but they have the similar situation like you, because they have to check. They have to check if you are compliant according to the rules, and they are not the legislative makers. So be kind, and your life will be maybe better, and enforcement will be maybe also easiest. Which is national authority. According Article 126 of REACH, all member states have to establish a national authority for enforcement, for inspection. So we have in each member state we have authorities. You can find it on the link on ECHA page, and each authority has some experience or some protocol how to enforce the companies. But in EU we have a REACH enforcement project or projects which are checking the similar obligations in each member state. This EF projects you can find on the link on the ECHA page. There are now currently in 2026 is in progress REF 14, which inspect classification, labeling, and packaging on hazardous mixtures, as well as products on e-market, sell in internet. And for example, checking SDSs, PCN, etc., whole obligations which are connected with hazardous mixtures. And in future, in 2027, is on the table new project, Area 15, which will be focused on safe use of chemicals in workspaces. It means risk management measures, as well as restriction under Annex 17. For example, diisocyanate, how to training of diisocyanate for professional users, microplastics, which talk about Yana. So this obligation will be probably checked in next year. So be prepared and you will be safe. And if you have any problems with inspection, with some preparing for inspection, for visiting the inspectors, so please contact us. We have experience with preparing for the inspection.
This might be a good place to ask your experience with the enforcement. I'm sorry. Yeah, so maybe we'll just do a quick poll. We'll be happy to hear your experience, but of course you don't have to share if you don't feel comfortable with it. But if you do, it might be interesting to see how is it with the general audience. We have our own experience, but of course ours isn't yours. So yeah, while we let the poll run, let's continue with enforcement, and we'll close it at the end of this section.
Last slide with the information on national inspectorates. You can see that it's in all member states plus Switzerland. So you can find all information on these home pages. And if you have any problems, you can contact your national authority. Also, you can send this to your national authority information that your competent company is not compliant, and you will be maybe your
enforcement again? Company.
Company of your.
We are blanking today. It has been a long time since we had a webinar, so yeah.
Sorry, I have in my head a lot of information, so okay. Please find your competent authority and find the information on home pages, how it works, and maybe there will be plan what they will check in the future, and how it works or how is situation in Czech Republic. There are some results of the inspection, etc. So that's it for this this section, and this is the last one.
Okay, I'll then quickly take over just to share the poll, just to show how we stand. So 40% of people, or 40% of attendees, have never experienced an inspection check, which is interesting. Yeah, congratulations. However, the rest, so basically a majority, 60% of folk have experienced one in the past 10 years, and out of those, almost a tenth have experienced it recently. So in the latest months. So let's see how the new REF projects move with enforcement activities. I would wonder how differently active the enforcement is across countries, and it has been one of the questions at start. But I don't believe we have enough data to compare them, and probably wouldn't be fair to do so. So let's move to practical guidance. Yana, I believe you can continue, or do you want me to kick it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
My recommendation for whole information regarding chemical legislation is ECHA homepage. On ECHA page, you can find anything from legislation, from regulations to any guidance documents, any news, etc., etc. So this is the best source for the EU chemical rules, for chemical legislation rules. And you can also find their guidance documents, as I mentioned before, all the guidance documents for REACH, for DPR, for CLP, for PIC, or for water directive, drinking water directive. So any useful documents you can find there. Also, it's very important, a very useful question and answer section when are lot of answered question from any section. So start, if you have any questions, start there and try to find your answer. Or if you are more lazy, don't like Ricartes, and we will do it instead of you. It's a contact on our homepage, on LinkedIn, where our experts watching news and making posts, and also we are preparing some webinars, as Stano mentioned, and my personal project, its name is Chemical Legislation Lighthouse, where each week I have some posts regarding some rules or some legislation news or some problem connected with REACH, CLP, and DPR, etc., etc. So that's it from my side.
I can definitely recommend Chemical Legislation Lighthouse. It runs on Jana's profile, and it is basically an enlightenment of regulations or regulatory. Yeah, and also I can recommend following Regardless. But if you are here, you probably already know at least 3 of us, maybe a few more. I mentioned at the start that, or not at the start, I haven't mentioned at the start that, but maybe you have noticed, we haven't had a webinar for a while, a part of the Tuesday one where we talked about Ukrainian REACH. So we are sort of restarting anew, and we are using also these Q&As to see where the troubles are, where the questions lay, what we may answer. You are very welcome, and you are free to ask us anything, either via emails or via the submission forms, registration forms. We have already collected a lot of questions, as I mentioned, but if your questions were unanswered and have fallen into this topic, feel free to put them now into the Q&A. We'll spend a few minutes to go through the few questions which landed there or which landed in our chats. So yeah, and also this is probably the first one of multiple sessions where we will be tackling these EU REACH related questions. We don't want them to be hanging somewhere. We want to tackle them. We want to talk about them, and we want to connect with you, and we are very happy to discuss. It's always a pleasure whenever we have the opportunity to discuss. So you can expect more sessions. Let's hope through summer. We'll see how summer treats us and how we treat it and how it treats you. But first, let's go through a few of the questions which landed here. So I would like to start with a suspended substance registration question. So if someone has a suspended or inactive substance registration and they want to resume the production of the substance, how do they reactivate the registration? Does this involve any costs?
I think I can take this question.
Okay, go for it, Jana.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have inactivated your registration because you did not produce it for some time or didn't import it to the EU, basically what you need to do now if you want to resume the production, first of all, you need to check if there were any changes during your substance inactivity. So it means first you need to contact the lead registrant, let them know that you would like to resume the registration. So because probably it could happen that during this time there were some new requirements, some new testings that were made. So probably there will be some extra costs from the lead registrant that are shared between all the members. As for ECHA, yeah, and of course you need to update all the information as like if anything has been changed, like for example, anything about the company or contact person, or maybe even the company size. But at the moment of resuming your registration, there is no extra cost or extra fee that you pay to ECHA. However, once you click on resume or activate, what you need to do is you need to submit the updated dossier without the undue delay. So it means that you first need to contact the lead registrant and get the new data, and then you can update your dossier and submit it to ECHA. So the probable costs could be from the CF, from the lead registrant that has made some testing during the time that your substance was inactive, but you do not pay extra fee for registration activation to ECHA.
Thank you, Yana. Hopefully this covers the question. Let us know if you would have any follow-up. And we'll move to a comment on enforcement. There is an overlap of SDS compliance enforcement and compliance check of benzene content in hydrocarbons. And the commenter said that they saw an inspection of solvent products triggered by evaluation of benzene content EU-wide. So yeah, the enforcement projects are up and running, and we always see new activity in basically all regions. Since you mentioned EU-wide, maybe you can share your not you. I don't want to call you out, but maybe you, the audience, can share your experiences with the enforcement in terms of various countries. Maybe that could answer the question of where the enforcement is the strongest and where it is the easiest, I guess. And any comments, Yana, on the enforcement project? If not, I don't want to overlap this session too long, but I wanted to still mention one comment on training and preparing, on one comment on training people to prepare, complete, and submit REACH applications, which we received an inquiry for. And actually, similar inquiries have come with the Ukraine REACH. So if this is something of interest to you, definitely do let us know. We can, of course, adapt the trainings to be tailored to companies' needs. But if the demand is high enough, we would probably handle them with larger crowds at once. And that said, I want to still mention that you maybe hear the ambulance from outside of my window, our window, I'm sorry. But if you have any questions regarding REACH or any related chemical legislations, or heck, even unrelated chemical legislation, or if you just like to get to know us better, do not hesitate to contact us. I believe every single one of us will be happy to talk, to consult, and to help. And with this, let's conclude this session. We will meet again, I believe, in a few weeks with a follow-up on the topics we haven't covered today. We are very sorry to anyone who hasn't had their questions unanswered, and we hope you won't hold too many grudges against us, seeing us, even if we only covered like a third of the whole issue, we still ran past 1 hour. So thank you, Anna. And thank you, Yana, for both of your contributions. They have been valuable even for me, so I hope even for the audience. Thanks to everyone for stopping by, and thanks the most for those who interacted with us the most. See you all in a bit, or in the digital space, or even physically over the summer. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.